Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Koki of the Seahawk Recap Show, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are doing well and staying safe and sound this August. We've got another Seahawk game recap for you guys. This time it's preseason week 2. Seahawks versus the Kansas City Chiefs ended last night, and in one word, Kansas City just didn't show up, and the Seahawks dominated with the starters and the rest of the group. I can't believe that. I'm so happy that football is back. It looks really good, and I know it's preseason, but you take wins like this where you can get them, and it's so nice to see that dominant victory. Before I ramble on too much more in the intro, let's get into it. If you guys like these videos, please consider giving it a like. It lets me know if I'm doing a good job with these videos or not. And if you'd like to see any more Seahawks future content from this channel, please consider subscribing. That would be greatly appreciated. Game summary: the Seahawks won last night 33 to the Chiefs 16, and it was just, again, a dominant victory. Let's start off with the Seattle Seahawks because they were the home team at Lumen Field. 477 total yards, 209 passing yards, 268 rushing yards, 6.9 yards per play, 29 first downs. They went 7 for 12 on third down, went 0 for 1 on fourth down, had 69 total plays, 0 sacks allowed, 3 punts, 7 penalties for 65 yards given up, 0 interceptions thrown, and 0 fumbles lost. Time of possession for your Seattle Seahawks was 38 minutes and 38 seconds of possession time. And just looking at the rushing numbers is just insane. You never saw that kind of high in last year's Seahawks. The Kansas City Chiefs, on the other side, they had 156 total yards, 88 yards passing, 68 yards rushing, averaged 4 yards per play, 9 first downs. They went 4 for 9 on third down, went 0 for 1 on fourth down, had 39 total plays, 2 sacks allowed, 3 punts, 3 penalties for 15 yards given up, 0 fumbles, and 0 interceptions thrown. So a clean game in that regard from both QBs and all QBs involved. The Kansas City Chiefs ended off the night with 21 minutes and 22 seconds of possession time. And that just shows you in the stats. Again, stats, in my opinion, don't tell you the full story. But in this case, when stats go wild like that, you know that stats can kind of give you a picture and a glimpse of how the game went, even if you didn't watch it. Next up, let's get to Ryan's focus players, and let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks for a moment. QB, let's talk about Drew Lock. Went 10 for 29, 129 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Both those touchdowns were to Jake Bobo, and we'll get to him in a minute. But Drew Lock, man, he's going to be the backup for the Seattle Seahawks, and I finally get to talk about him because I wanted to talk about Jalen Milroe in the first game. Now I get to give Drew Lock his flowers. He played excellent in this game. You know, he is a guy that was a former starter for the Broncos, and ever since coming to the Seahawks, and then going to different teams, he's really cemented himself as a capable backup to where you can use him as a starter if need be. But he's just a suitable backup, and he did really well in this game, reading his keys. The way he was able to diagnose the Chiefs' defense, he had a couple of times there where the pocket was just supreme. The O line, I will get to the O line because the O line really showed up And that allowed Drew Lock to get these types of numbers to be able to run this Clint Kubiak new style offense. And I love it. So Drew Lock, really good game from him. The 2 touchdowns to Jake Bobo were just supreme. Just the ball placement, the way he's able to maneuver himself in this game was just great to see. Let's get to another guy I really was excited to see because he is a de facto starter, as we knew the starters were going to come in this week. Let's get to running back Zach Charbonnet, 5 carries, 49 yards, averaged 9 yards per carry, had the 1 touchdown to open up the scoring for the Seattle Seahawks in the first quarter. And man, I'm going to talk about Zach Charbonnet for a minute because Zach Charbonnet now finally has the ability, with this offensive line being so good. Remember, the starters for the offensive line were on the field today. That means it was Charles Cross, it was Gray Zabel, it was Jake Sundell, or Jalen Sundell rather. Then it was Anthony Bradford and Abraham Lucas. Those are probably your 5 guys you might see. I wouldn't be surprised if Olu Odotimi comes in at center to play there, to be part of that starting 5. But this is the kind of O-line you're going to see, and this is the kind of game that Zach Charbonnet can have when you put him behind a good O-line. I just can't wait to see what happens because Zach Charbonnet, he is a guy that has a chance with all the things that are surrounding Kenneth Walker, the injuries, all those things. We didn't see Kenneth Walker in this game because it was a precautionary thing. Because he's had injuries in the past, because he's been banged up and dealing with things, even in training camp a little bit. They wanted to precaution his involvement. So that let Zach Charbonnet take the ball. And bunch of different other running backs. There's 5 running backs in this game that really had good games, and Zach Charbonnet is one of them. And I can't wait to see what he does on the field in the regular season because he really showed out last year. And honestly, his power, the way he runs, he when I first saw him in 2023, I thought he was a pure power back. I thought, oh, he's gonna be a goal line guy. He's not gonna be a guy that you see have much speed, have much explosiveness to him. I was completely wrong. The second round pick from the 2023 draft from UCLA is going into his 3rd year now in the league, and he's picked up a lot of explosiveness. He's showing his explosiveness, but he's also showing a run style that is so determined that he looks like a power back when he runs because he runs so hard at you. He wants to bowl you over. The inside, in between the tackles, is where he lives, and he really shows out there. So great game from Zach Charbonnet. Let's get to wide receiver Jake Bobo. 2 receptions, 24 yards, average 12 yards per reception, had the 2 touchdowns from Drew Lock. And man, what can I say about Jake Bobo that hasn't already been said by every Seahawks fan since he has entered with the Seahawks? This guy is a preseason legend, and people love him, myself included. I didn't really know what to make of Jake Bobo when he stepped onto the scene out of Duke a couple of years ago, but the thing with him is he is large. He's a large man. He's 6'4". And what do the Seahawks lack right now? What did the Seahawks lose this year in the offseason that they need? They lost a lot of wide receiver help, and they lost all wide receivers, lanky guys, the guys that are 6'4". DK Metcalf was the big body target of this team. He is no longer here. So where does that role come to? Well, Jake Bobo not only had a good game, but he's also 6'4". And Tariq Young also had a good game. He is also 6'4". So in that role, when the Seahawks need a receiver, they have a really crowded wide receiver room right now. They need at least 4 guys. They need at least 4 guys on their depth chart: JSN, Cooper Kupp, Mardez Valdez Scantling, or MVS. And now it comes down to who's going to fight for that fourth, fifth spot. And it might go to Jake Bobo just because of the way this guy is going to go up and catch the football. This guy is not at all afraid to jump ball when he needs to because he needs to prove something. He needs to prove to Mike McDonald that he deserves to be on this 53. He's really good on special teams. He's been a really good special teamer, and he can go up and catch the ball in those 50-50 jump ball shots when he needs to. So great game from Jake Bobo, and I can't wait to see if he makes the 53-man roster or not. Let's get to the Seahawks D line now. Brendan Healy, the D tackle, nose tackle, 0 solo tackles, 2 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, had the 1 safety in the third quarter. And man, I want to talk about Brendan Pilley because this is the kind of game. These are the kind of games. Preseason is all about finding depth guys at positions of need. And when I came into this season, a couple of things that I noticed right away is that Byron Murphy is the nose tackle of this team. Who does he have behind him? Well, he has I believe his name is Quentin Bohanna and Brendan Pilley. And Brendan Pilley is 26, and you're wanting this guy to show up. You're wanting this guy to make it to this 53 so that Byron Murphy, you have some insurance there if, uh, God forbid, Byron Murphy goes down in the regular season with an injury or something like that. And he showed up in this game, man. Not through his stats necessarily. The safety really helps, and that's really a big check mark. But he's a guy that I think is going to be able to move people around and be a kind of guy that you wouldn't mind having in that nose tackle spot because he is a pure nose tackle. So great game from Brendan Hilly. Let's get to DB and let's get to safety. Nick Emanwari, 2 solo tackles, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions, and I'm talking about Nick Emanwari because I didn't talk about him last week. I love this guy. If you've seen my videos when I was recapping the day 2 and day 3 draft picks for the 2025 NFL draft, you know that I don't really know much about Nick Emanwari, but he was seen as one of the most athletic safeties in the draft and probably the most athletic player in this class in 2025. And one thing I said that I think Mike McDonald heard about and was going to do anyways, but I called it. Nick Emanwari is going to play in the box for the Seahawks. He's going to be that Kyle Hamilton kind of type for a Mike McDonald and play in that 3 safety shell kind of thing where they run their 2 safeties and Julian Love and Kobe Bryant, and then they run Nick Emanwari in the box, and Nick Emanwari seems to thrive there. His tackles, the 2 tackles that he got in this game, he got beat on 1 play, but he made sure when there was the miscommunication, when that miscommunication happened and the pass was completed, you saw Nick Emanwari go, "Oh, I messed up. I'm going to track this guy down and I'm going to throw him into the sideline." And that's the type of determination you need as a safety. You're going to have days where you'll miscommunicate with your defense and everything like that. You need to make up for that. You need to make up for that. And Nicky Memori, the guy has got such a high motor, and he hits like a truck. I've seen that guys like Kobe Bryant and him are going to have a lot of fun just hitting guys, making sure that if you get up from one of those hits, you're going to remember that. And I think Nicky Memori had a really good game last night against the Chiefs, even with his limited snap count. And let's get to the final player on this list. Linebacker Drake Thomas, 2 solo tackles, 2 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. But Drake Thomas is a guy that came over from the Raiders a couple of seasons ago, and he has been on the Seahawks, playing in the preseason ever since. And I think with a guy like Drake Thomas, you're looking at guys in the linebacker spot, interior linebacker. Well, who do the Seahawks have right now at interior linebacker? Well, they have Ernest Jones and they have Tyrese Knight. You're now fighting for that third spot. You're fighting for that third string spot, and I think a guy like Drake Thomas had a really good showing in this game. Every time he made a play, every time he was on the field, um, he's he's decent in coverage, but every time he made a hit, you always heard from the broadcast, oh, there's Drake Thomas again. There's Drake Thomas again, number 42 on the defense. You kept hearing his name get called, and they kept praising him on the broadcast. I believe Mike Robb did that a lot more on the broadcast because he said it the best. The Seahawks do need help and need depth at inside linebacker, and Drake Thomas could be that third string linebacker on the inside that they need. So great game from Drake Thomas, making the tackles where he needs to be. Let's get to the Chiefs and let's get to QB Gardner Minshew. 7 for 9, had 70 yards passing, the one touchdown, the lone touchdown on the offensive side, 0 interceptions. Good clean game from Gardner Minshew, really. Like, no interceptions is good. The one touchdowns really suck, but that's the thing. This Seahawks defense was just really good from the jump, from the word go. But Gardner Minshew, man, he's been a journeyman in this league. He's a veteran quarterback, and the way he passes the ball really makes me kind of look at it and go, oh yeah, he's definitely not, I think, a starter, but he's definitely a guy that can be reliable if things go down. And I think really clean game. The Rob Tunyon touchdown that he threw was actually really good. It was just he was scrambling, and then just found his open guy and threw it to him right on the money for that touchdown. And I think he had a really decent game. Running back, and let's get to Brashad Smith, the 7th round draft pick of the 2025 draft for the Kansas City Chiefs. Rookie coming in, 3 carries, 22 yards, 7.3 yards per carry, 0 touchdowns. And on those 3 carries, the reason why I'm highlighting Brashad Smith is really impressed me with his 3 runs. And I know that's really a small sample size. There's something called contact balance, and that is where you get hit by a defender and you just, instead of going down or instead of actually just getting tackled, you just stay on your feet. You just don't move. You keep your legs churning and you just push past it. And I can't remember who he did that against. I think it was Ernest Jones and Drake Thomas, actually. But he's such an electrifying runner. And for a 7th round pick, this is your time to show Kansas City that you can be that third, second string running back, even as a 7th rounder. So, really good game from Brashad Smith, all things considered. Wide receiver slash tight end, or I guess it is a tight end. So let's get to Robert Tunyon. 5 receptions, 41 yards, averaged 8.2 yards per reception, had the one lone touchdown for this offense. And Robert Tunyon is a very interesting character. Former Green Bay Packer, played with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and he has been a consistent, I think, enough tight end that the Chiefs are really going to actually like him behind Travis Kelce. Robert Tunyon got a lot of playing time, a lot playing time than I thought he would, because I think he's more of a starter caliber tight end, but he played, I think, until the fourth quarter. He played almost the full game. And he's a guy that you can rely on as a safety valve to catch the passes, get the tough yards. And in the scramble drill on that touchdown, he literally just went behind, got covered up, and went, oh, Minshew's scrambling. Okay, what I'm going to do as a veteran tight end is just move a little bit, wait for him, and put my hands up in the air, and no one's going to touch me. because I moved so quickly that people just lost coverage of me, and that's the touchdown. And I think Robert Tunyon is so good at that kind of play. I think he's a really good red zone threat for the Chiefs if they need any more help in that regard. The Kansas City Chiefs defense, Mikael Hurren, 2 solo tackles, 3 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 forced fumbles. But here is something about Mikael Hurren that a lot of a lot I was hearing on the broadcast. The Chiefs defense didn't have a really good night. Not much pressure was allowed, not much was going right, but every time they went to go and tackle a ball carrier, it was big number 94, Mikael Hurren, that was on everybody. He was making those tackles, and you need good run stoppers. You need to show that even though you're losing, even though that this game is theoretically lost, you still want to put up an effort and show Andy Reid and the rest of that Kansas City Chiefs coaching staff that you're still ready to play and you haven't let off the gas. And that's exactly what Mikael Hurren did here. So good game from him, DB. And let's get to corner. Nolan Williams, 3 solo tackles, 1 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. I believe he's a 5th-round pick, correct me if I'm wrong, out of the 2025 draft. And he's a corner. He's a rookie corner. And a lot of what the Chiefs did last night was put the rookies through tests. And Nolan Williams, despite his 2 illegal use of hands penalties, for a corner, that's usually like, and for a young rookie corner entering the NFL, those guys, some of the guys that you're going up against are veterans in this league. They know how to make your life difficult as a DB. And Nolan Williams, despite his 2 penalties, I think had a really good game, a couple of really good pass breakups. I'm thinking of the Torrey Horton pass breakup in the end zone in the second quarter, I believe it was, where he got beat, but Williams never went and just let Torrey Horton have it. He just went up and went, okay, I'm beat. I need to get back. And he swatted the ball and batted it down, making sure that that wasn't a catch. He made sure that he got in and affected the hands of Torrey Horton, the wide receiver from the Seahawks. And that's what you need to see from your rookie DBs. So good game from the rookie Nolan Williams. Linebacker Jeffrey Bassa, 4 solo tackles, 2 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. But this guy, I've heard a little bit about this guy and heard a little bit on the broadcast. At Oregon, he was a star. And now he's on the Chiefs. He's going to be playing probably for a spot on this 53. And he was a monster too. Like he was ready to get down in the trenches to battle and hit the Seahawks running backs. So all in all, good game from the rookies from the Chiefs defense. What went well? Well, this offensive line is starting to come together. Looking at the first half alone, the Seahawks backfield had 174 rushing yards. Just to put that into context, if I'm getting the numbers right, the Seahawks had 174 rushing yards in the entirety of the last preseason game against the Raiders. They did that all in the first half. That just shows you the dynamic between Clint Kubiak and how he wants to run this team. Zach Charbonnet opens up the scoring. He's going to be a guy to watch this season. From start to finish, this O-line staff and Clint Kubiak have really impressed me so far. Because the way Clint Kubiak is, I didn't know much about Clint Kubiak because I didn't watch a lot of New Orleans Saints football. But seeing how he's putting I formations out there, he's using fullbacks. Like, when has that ever been a thing? That position, the fullback position, has fallen out of favor so hard over the last couple of seasons. And now Clint Kubiak is using Robert Oots. He's using Brady Russell as a fullback, and he's making it work. He's making sure that his O line is being prepared to push out and strike and lash out and get the yards for the big run game because everybody in football knows this. If you have a strong run game, that opens up play action. That opens up the whole entire playbook because now you're putting the defense on their heels saying, yeah, we can run it against you and we can run it against you well enough to wear you down. And then when you're expecting a run, we just pop play action and go for the explosive deep shot. And that's exactly what I think Clint Kubiak is doing here. Again, preseason. I get it, but you just you love to see it. I'm so happy with how this offense has started out so far, especially the O line. These guys have bought into this system, and I just can't wait for the regular season. But what to improve on in this game? There's not much really to improve on. That's how good the Seahawks were in this game. Again, the dominant victory. I would say the only thing that really stuck out to me is probably not letting up the 84-yard punt return touchdown from Sky Moore in the fourth quarter. It was late in the fourth quarter. That's how they got the 16 points because it was 33-10 before that. But Sky Moore just decided, hey, I'm going to take this ball and I'm just going to run it right into the end zone. No one's going to even like touch me even. And I'm just going to show off my speed and uh, yeah, on special teams if I can't do anything else. So special teams, a lot of the kickoffs, a little bit sloppy in my opinion. Giving up a little bit too many yards, a couple of missed tackles in there, and things like that. But I think Jay Harbaugh, the special teams coordinator, will have that all ironed out for the final game of the preseason. So that's not too bad. And let's get to my final thoughts. Overall, I've said this a lot throughout this video that it was just a dominant win by the Seahawks through and through in preseason week 2. You take wins where you can get them, man. You take dominant wins where you can get them. I know it's the preseason. People aren't really trying that hard. Travis Kelce wasn't in. A lot of the starters probably for the Chiefs were not in at certain points. I know the starting O line for the Chiefs was in for a bit, but again, you take wins where you can get them. Still a very, very dominant win, and I'm so happy again with the anticipation, that this season is going to be good. This season is going to be different. The culture here in year 2 of the Mike Macdonald era, Mike Macdonald is taking over this team, and it really shows. It really shows. He is building the culture. He's making guys buy in to said culture, and he's making sure that every running back gets a shot in this offense. And that's just a lovely thing to see. It's not going to be one dimensional anymore, hopefully, when we get to the regular season, because they've actually got a run game now. It's actually cohesive. Like I can't I can't stress enough as a Seahawks fan that's been watching from 2013 to now. This O line has been just just insane at a lot of the points in those years. And it's insane to finally have it back. Finally have some good things to talk about instead of being negative all the time about how the Seahawks can't run the ball and things like that. For the Chiefs, I'd just say, all right, Andy Reid's not too worried about it. I'd say, Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, hates it because he gave up a boatload of yards, 477, but it is what it is. It's the preseason. Andy Reid knows it's the preseason, and he's probably going to come back in week 3 for the preseason finale and try to finagle some things and change some things up to make sure that he can probably win that game. But we'll see what happens. For the Chiefs, just don't worry about it. Move on to the next game. Pretty bad game, but I'm sure you'll bounce back and be ready for the final preseason game in preseason week 3. And that's it for me here in this video. What did you guys think of the Seahawks' dominant preseason week 2 win over the Kansas City Chiefs? Let me know in the comments section down below. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Go Hawks, go, and have a good day.